Vindicator, I'm just going to focus on the Moon Queen because they certainly don't need me to kill the Vindicator. Unfortunately, I had hoped to use my ultimate to stop her, but the Vindicator curse took away a little bit too much of my mana. Here comes the Arachna. There's not much I can do. So if I had Mummy Wall, I'd probably go throw it on the cliff there, but I don't have mana for anything, so I just have to hope that they can survive, which they do. But yeah, so as I was saying, I maybe should have used my ultimate sooner. I wasn't paying enough attention, I guess, that I figured from all the spells I spammed that Vindicator probably, that this curse wasn't on me. I just wasn't watching the buffs clearly enough. If I was, I probably would have gotten my ultimate off just a tad bit sooner before I ran out of mana, and that would have enabled us to kill Moon Queen. So that was a little bit of a mistake on my part. So anyway, double damage rune top, gonna bottle that up. Once again, I would look to gank top, but they're just pushed too far forward, so I'm gonna go buy an item. Life Tube looks good because I'm kind of low HP at this point. Getting some passive regen seems nice. Normally I might go for a Shaman's Headdress before a Helm of the Black Legion, but this is just easier to grab from the middle lane versus Shaman's Headdress, which is kind of easier to make from the side lane. I should probably also finish my Steam Boots first. But I guess it doesn't really hurt to pick up a little regen, but I should probably prioritize finishing my Steam Boots like with the next 1,000 gold. But I was just, I don't know. I think I was having a little debate in my head whether I wanted to get Steam Boots or Ghost Marches, but Steam Boots really are just a lot better. You just need that health when you blink in with your ultimate. So it really wasn't too much of a debate. Anyway, I'll pick up my Blood Chalice as soon as I have the gold. Once again, just being efficient with the courier, buying items as quickly as possible as I can. Blood Chalice seems like a good thing to get. I mean, it's good on Pharaoh to begin with, and it's, you know, good against Vindicator. Would have probably allowed me to get a Moon Queen kill earlier, so it just seems like a good item to have. Always making sure whenever the courier is about to get here that I run back so that I don't put the courier into a disadvantageous position. Going Blood Chalice, putting it in the shifty spot again, as I talked about before, just familiar spots for my items. I'd like to gank, but most of their team is pushed back pretty far. Light Blue is actually kind of far forward on bottom, but my teammate's kind of chasing back anyway. So I'm just going to farm. Pink actually comes in and ganks bottom, so I'd like to get down there. Running a little late though. Maybe I should have headed down there sooner, but I wasn't really anticipating that. Probably should have a ward. At this point, if we don't, I may have to work on that a little bit. So I can basically just throw a Torment Soul. Because I clicked here and was watching instead of playing. This is a huge mistake I'll get into. I actually ran the wrong way. If I'd ran through the river, maybe I'd be able to cut him off. Maybe not, but there's at least a better chance than if I just took that completely terrible path. So that's just an important thing to always notice in playing any strategy game. This is one of the the key things that people learn first in StarCraft is that they're just watching too much. So there, I was watching what was happening instead of playing. Like what happens doesn't really matter that much, like unless I can affect it somehow. But I can't from that distance away, and I don't have a TP scroll, which I probably should have again. But I just kind of finished my Blood Chalice with just enough money, so that's kind of how I avoided that. But I really should be working on having the TP scrolls more. That's definitely something I'll try to work on in the future. At least when playing a ganking support type hero like this. But so anyway, yeah, in that situation, I needed to be focused on what I was doing, not focusing on what was actually going on that I had no bearing on. So anyway, I'm going to try to cut off the Dr. Repulsor here. There's really two options. I could throw a rocket right now, which is what I think about, but then think twice. I decide it would be better if I can just catch him with Invis on his way back, but unfortunately he's not there, so then I throw a rocket assuming he's going to be waiting at the tower, but he's not either. So he's probably above the tower, but I just don't want to waste too much time looking for him. It turns out he's actually right here. This is kind of aggressive of them, but anyway, so I ult in as soon as I can and go on the Arachna and Repulsor. I decided to chase down the Repulsor because he has no mana. I thought the hammer was actually on my team for a second, which is why I kind of chased a little bit further than I normally should while the Magnus picked up the kill. But their hammer is actually on the other team, believe it or not, so it's time to back off. So there, yeah, blue died unfortunately. It was at 1-for-1 when we probably had a more favorable situation. I didn't, like I said, expect him to be sitting in the spot he was. Basically the reason he was there was just because they had 3 when I really expected them to have 2. With how low of HP he had, with 2 people he definitely would have backed up the tower, but with 3 there's reason why he played a bit further forward. So anyway, I pick up the haste and they're still far forward, so now I'm going to throw in this rocket for damage and vision, and actually not really much damage, but go in on these people and tell purple to come with me. Should easily be able to get this Repulsor kill because he doesn't have enough mana. Yeah, Magnus coming in behind me with Striders. Let me pick it up. I just throw a rocket here because Hammer had enough life when he got away that the rocket's not really going to matter for taking him out, so you can just use it here. I mean, you could say it's kill stealing, but I mean, whatever. Magnus and I both could use a gold about equally. Maybe his portal key's a little more important, but most pub games don't involve that many team fights, to be honest, so the Magnus portal key is maybe a little less important than it normally would be, although still probably more important than me getting my tank items, but no. I mean, whatever, just picking up a guaranteed kill, no problem there. So running back mid now, still have my ultimate because I didn't have to use in that second part there, so trying to set up a gank on Arachna. She actually backs up, but the Moon Queen plays way too far forward for some reason. Realizes her mistake, but it's too late. I'm going to ult in, and then use Mummy Walls because that's more effective than Hellfire for, a two-person gank. Whenever you're ganking 2-on-2, or 2-on-1, the Mummy Walls is just going to have such a great effect, which is why you level the Mummy Walls second to Tormented Soul. Anyway, the Arachna tries to come in here, but can't really do much, so once again I'm going to wait for the Mummy Walls cooldown, and then right as soon as it gets up, throw down the Mummy Walls to trap the Arachna, and then my Tormented Soul afterwards when I still have enough mana, and someone else jumps in so that I can hit them with it too. So that worked out pretty well. They kind of threw themselves into a disadvantageous position. The Arachna just kind of ulting for no reason, and then two more people coming in, but fortunately blue is there, so it kind of all worked out quite well. I think I'm going to helm up Black Legion. Like I was saying, normally I might go Shaman's Headdress first on Pharaoh. It kind of just depends on the other team. They're not really that... I mean, they're kind of about even between magic damage and physical damage. Like, getting that Helm of the Black Legion is really important for just kind of nullifying Arachna. Like, being an Arachna at low level and trying to beat on someone who has a Helm of the Black Legion, it's just so frustrating. However, he shouldn't probably be beating on me anyway, since I'm Pharaoh, but, whatever. And then Repulsor's kind of physical damage. I mean, it just kind of varies, but I just got the Helm because it was just the convenience things I was buying. So anyway, here's the Vindicator. I don't have an ult to ult in with the arrow, which would be nice. I kind of expected blue to throw that arrow a little bit further back since we had 3 people. Maybe I should have waited a minute, or a couple seconds before running in with the rocket, so that I would have had my ult. But I didn't really feel like I should have needed my ultimate there, just because... we had 3 people ganking a Vindicator who has no escape mechanism, extremely squishy, so I felt like we should have just been able to get the kill regardless. But, I mean, the purpose of Pharaoh's ult is to gank. One hero ganks are still worth it. Anyway, we see Pink in the river here. This is a really bad spot for him to be in, because we have yellow on the other side and me here, so we're able to actually trap him and throw the rocket for vision. He actually gets vision anyway. He's going to decide to go on yellow because he thinks he's just there, and I'm going to be able to ult in, and together we can kill him. I don't have mana for Mummy Wall, unfortunately, but still just able to beat him down with the slow. So yeah, that was kind of that situation. Kind of fortunate in the long run that I didn't ult earlier or wait for the ult, because I was able to kill Arachna, who probably would have killed Glacius if I hadn't been there. So it worked out, which is why, being effective with your ultimate is always important. You can see that unfortunately top is getting ganked right now, but Magnus has his steam bath, so it's not that big of a deal. And finally, I'm picking up my, speaking of steam boots. I'm just kind of farming mid again. You'll see here that we have no wards for the 16-minute rune, so I'm just going to throw a Pharaoh Tormented Soul at one of the runes and look there at 16 minutes exactly to see if the rune's there. It's not, so I'm going to go bottom, but make sure that I get my item from the courier first, because again, I don't want the courier following me into a risky situation. So I pick that up and then go to pick up the rune just a little bit later, which should be alright, because mid was kind of pushed back and that was fine. You notice also, just whenever I have excess mana, especially because we have a Glacius on the team, just kind of always throwing out Tormented Souls to other lanes where I can. Just no reason not to be effective. You see I start to run at the top, but realize that I'm running through the river, which is definitely a mistake when there's 2 heroes standing there. An easy way to get killed, as we saw in one of my previous videos. So I'm just gonna head back to mid, the safer route. Mid kind of backed off a bit. It's possible I should have thrown that Tormented Soul to try to kill the Dr. Repulsor they were chasing top. But I think they were kind of just chasing too far anyway, and I didn't really want to encourage that. But I mean, I could have possibly sniped him, but I felt like he got away with enough HP that I would have probably taken 2 Tormented Souls, which was still a possibility, but would have required a lot of work, and I guess you could say I was a little lazy on that one. Would have rather my creep score, who knows. So they're asking for wards. Glacius really should be the one warding. He's the most support. However, I don't really mind warding with Pharaoh. I'm a ganking hero, so I don't really need wards. As you can see, we're running to their jungle because we want to gank them in the jungle, which would just be so much better with wards. It's actually not the best rocket ever, because if someone was there, it would definitely give away that we were coming in, and potentially he would be in a spot where, because of the creeps, it would be too hard for me to hook him. So anyway, we're kind of in here. We see Hammer. I Mummy Wall him in, which is kind of bad because he can stun basically both of us, but I thought it'd still be worth it just because it was 2-on-1. But anyway, they're basically all here. So I have Arachne stuff on me, there's no way I'm getting away. So basically I make the decision, my best bet is just to turn back in and basically burn everything. I don't actually control my illusions effectively enough initially. Maybe I should have had them beat on the Dr. Repulsor. But anyway, so just to talk about that for a second. A lot of people in a situation like that are just like, I'm on low life, I'm getting focused down, I need to run. I mean, it's important to note when you can survive and when you can't. If there's a situation you're not going to be able to survive no matter what, which with Arachne's ult on me, maybe about to wear off, but still, her slow, I'm going to be plenty slow. The odds of me getting away there are pretty infinitesimal. So basically, I'm just going to turn around and